Today we are going to talk about item types that will appear on the grades 3 through 6 FSA ELA reading assessments in spring 2019. If your teacher gave you a handout for this presentation, you may follow along and practice on your own with the sample items. If you don't have a handout, that's okay too. On the day of the test, you will receive a number 2 pencil and a test and answer book that contains all of the test items and a space to respond to each item. Before we review how to answer the items, let's take a look at the reading passages. A passage could be an article, story, poem, or even a picture that you will read or review before answering items. Sometimes you will read one passage before answering items, and sometimes you will read more than one passage, which is called a passage set. In this example, the directions tell you that you will read 2 passages, How the Moon Was Kind to Her Mother and Sly as a Fox, before responding to a set of items. These items will ask you about this passage set only. Underneath the directions is a brief description of the passages. You will notice that each passage is titled Passage 1, Passage 2, and so on. This is important because when you get to the test items, they may reference this title instead of the full title of the passage. When this item asks about the theme in Passage 1, you will know that the item is asking about the story, How the Moon Was Kind to Her Mother. You will also see that each paragraph is numbered. The paragraphs are numbered for the entire passage set. You will see here that for Passage 2, paragraph numbering does not start over at number 1. In this case, the last paragraph in Passage 1 is paragraph 9, so the first paragraph in Passage 2 is numbered as paragraph 10. Items or answer choices may reference a certain paragraph number from the passages. In this example, each answer choice gives you the paragraph number of the sentence in that choice, so you can go back and read that part of the passage if you want. You can go back and reference passages within a session at any time. Now we will review how to enter your responses to ensure that you receive credit for your answers. All items will have answer bubbles. When you decide which answer or answers you will select, you must grid the bubble next to your answer choice completely. Do not circle your answer choice. If you circle your answer choice instead of filling in the bubble, you will not receive credit for your answer. Some students like to cross out answer choices they think are wrong. That's okay, but make sure you do not draw a line or an X through an answer bubble that you wish to eliminate as a choice. The mark you leave in those bubbles could be counted as your answer or cause your answer to not be recorded because you marked too many bubbles. If you decide to change an answer, be sure to erase the bubble completely. Do not leave a dark pencil mark in the bubble that you erased, as that could be counted as your answer. However, try to erase gently as to not tear the paper in your book. Now we will go over the actual item types you may see in the test. The first item type is a multiple choice item. For a multiple choice item, there is one correct answer. Once you select your answer, you must fill in the bubble beside your answer choice completely. The next item type we will review is a multi-select item. For these items, you will select more than one correct answer. Be sure to read the item carefully, as it will direct you to select more than one option. This item tells you to select 2 answer choices. Multi-select items will always have more than 4 answer choices. This item has 5 answer choices, A through E. You will select the 2 choices you think are correct and fill in the bubble next to each answer choice completely. Another item type you may see on the test is called table match. You will see information on the left side of each row and at the top of each column. and you must fill in a bubble for each row matching to the column with the correct answer. This item asks you to choose whether image 1, image 2, or both images contributes to the idea in each row. In the first row that says, "shows how different bones form Sue's skeleton," you must decide which answer is true for this statement. If you decide that both images show how different bones form Sue's skeleton, you will fill in the bubble in that column. Then decide which answers apply for the second and third rows. Next, we will review a selectable text item. In this example, an excerpt of the reading passage is provided. The item asks you to select 2 sentences that support the description provided. When you select the sentences for your response, fill in the bubble directly in front of the beginning of the sentence. If one of your choices is the sentence, "He loved to grow unfamiliar plants," you will fill in answer bubble E. If your second choice is the sentence that begins, "Perhaps because Jefferson traveled in Europe," fill in answer bubble D. Now we will look at a 2-part item. 2-part items will have a part A and a part B. First, answer part A. Once you have answered part A, look at part B. Part B of a 2-part item will usually ask you to select a response that supports your answer in part A. Always make sure to provide answers for both parts of a 2-part item. Here is another 2-part item. Part A is a multiple choice item, and you will notice that Part B is a multi-select item asking you to select 2 choices. Always read each item carefully. For all 2-part items, make sure you fully respond to both parts of the item to receive credit for your answers. The final item type we will review is an editing task choice item set. The directions for these items instruct you to read the passage and notice the underlined words or phrases. The underlined words or phrases may contain grammar or spelling mistakes, or they may be correct as is. When you get to the items that go with the passage, in this case items 16 through 18, you will see these underlined words or phrases again. You will need to decide if the underlined word or phrase is incorrect or correct as is. If it is incorrect, select the correct word or phrase from the answer choices. In item 16, the word doctor is spelled D-O-C-K-T-O-R. So you will replace the misspelled underlined word with the correct spelling of the word, D-O-C-T-O-R, which is answer choice B. You will notice that number 17 is a 2-part item. Remember, always be sure to respond to both parts of a 2-part item. Now look at number 18. The underlined phrase, "large, white, and blue plane," is correct as is, so you will select answer choice D, correct as is. All editing items have a correct as is option. We have now reviewed the different item types on the paper-based grades 3 through 6 ELA reading tests. Let's review some important things to remember during testing. You will not have scratch paper for the test, but you may use the space in your test and answer book to take notes. You may circle or underline words in the passages or items. If there is time left in the session, you may go back and check your work once you've finished. Please remember, you may not ask your teacher or test administrator for help in answering test items. It is also important to remember that you may not work ahead in another session or return to a session you completed on a previous day. For instance, even if you finish session 1 early, you must not go on to session 2 until it is time to do so the next day. You will see a stop sign to let you know you have reached the end of a session. When you reach this stop sign, do not go on to the next session. If there is still time left in the session, go back and check your work. After the stop sign at the end of Session 1, you will see this message on the first page of Session 2. On the right side of the book, you will also see the second plastic seal. Do not pull the second seal until day 2 of your test, when your teacher or test administrator tells you to. If you accidentally break the second seal on day 1, tell your teacher right away, and do not look at any of the test items in Session 2. You or your parents may access practice tests on the FSA portal if you want to have some extra practice responding to the different item types you will see on the test. Each practice test also has an answer key so you can check your answers. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions about the information I shared with you, please be sure to share them with your teacher. I hope you are successful on your FSA reading test.